I remember just being devastated for Dustin, being devastated for my child. Dakota was like a year and a half old. And I was down in our basement, which is where we had our gym and my tanning bed and everything. And I was laying there and I was just I do some of my best thinking running and in the tanning bed. Don't ask me why. I guess because you kind of are a captive audience to your own brain.
Everybody's
So,
got their thing.
right. Yeah. So, like when I would run or when I would tan, I would process and think about so many things. And so I came up, I said to myself, what is it that WWF is missing? They had Scary Sherry and they had Tammy Sitch. Well, Scary Sherry was, this wild, eclectic, crazy, female. And then Tammy was this kind of like pom pom wielding cheerleader type, you know. Well, we all know, right?
Mhm.
She was amazing. Both of them were. But I was like, there's a component here where females are concerned that they're missing. And I came up with this, like literally laying in the tanning bed, I came up with this idea for this character. And because I used to love to drink wine in the bubble bath, smoke cigars in a bubble bath, I just thought they need like, and because Dustin was this old school actor, that they had made him,
Hollywood, yeah.
yeah, which was kind of weird, but nevertheless, he's an actor, right? So I thought, wouldn't it be great if they had old school female just elegance and eloquence and the train dress and just all this stuff.
Like the Marilyn
And
Monroe
so
type of character.
yeah, and I just came up with all these concepts and I called Dustin and he said, I love it. And I said, okay, will you tell Vince? And he goes, I'm not telling Vince. Well, back in the day, Dustin was scared as hell of management, of hierarchy. He did not do well with that at all. He was scared to death of it. So he said to me, he goes, no, if you want to do that, you've got to call Vince. Well, I'm not going to just sit by and let something like that pass by if I think it's a good concept. So I called and I left a message, and Pat Patterson called. Pat Patterson called me back and said it was almost like an obligatory response. He was like, "Well, we really appreciate your thoughts and your ideas, but we're just not willing to go with them right now. Okay, thank you, goodbye." And I was like, "Fine, like no big deal." Like I had a year and a half old daughter. That's all I needed. It was only that I had come up with this idea, that I was even calling. So I think it was like 2 months later, maybe. And I'm at my grandparents' home in Branford, Florida. So small, it does not even own a damn red light. It only owns a yellow light, a caution light. That's when you know you live in a small town.
Sure.
Okay. So I was sitting at my grandparents' home in Branford, and Dustin called me and he goes, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm at Granny's house. What are you doing?" And he goes, "Pack your bags. They want to do your idea." Now this is like long after I have like, you know, they told me thanks but no thanks, and no big deal, right? So I'm like, say what now? Like they do? They want to do my idea. Yeah, they do. So like literally everything about that. There was one thing that Vince did control, and I had two ideas. One was either to walk to the ring with a glass of wine or to walk to the ring with a cigar, which is how I took my bubble baths. My bubble baths were with a glass of wine and a cigar. And he said, no, do the cigar. So then, I told my two names were either Oscar, because that fed into the whole
Mhm.
actor
Yeah.
gimmick, for
Oscar
Dustin,
awards. Yeah. Oscars.
right? And I went with Marlena. Marlena Dietrich was my, like, she was the one back in the day that wore pantsuits. She smoked cigars. I came up with Marlena instead of Oscar. To be honest, I like Oscar better because I thought that bled more into the male persona. The funny thing is, I remember Vince, like, sitting at Gorilla saying to me, "Do not light that until right before you go out, on the Titantron." And then years later, he's on the cover of Cigar Aficionado. I'm like,
Hmm. I remember seeing
"Hello,
that.
liar, liar, pants on fire. You did not want me to light that cigar until I walked out, from the curtain."